Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wisdom Whispers with Abhishek Mittal. We are here with yet another episode of Wisdom Whispers with Abhishek Mittal. Before I introduce the topic today, let me put up a quotation by none other than Elon Musk. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you are constantly thinking about what you have done and how you could be doing it better. In short, getting feedback is like looking in a mirror for self improvement. This is the primary reason why seeking feedback is important for all of us. And to have a discussion on this thought provoking, important topic, today we have Shikha as our guest on the show. She is a seasoned analytics professional with over 17 years of experience spanning across various industries, including pharma, retail, and the payments industry. She brings rich experience of delivering analytical solutions globally. In her career, she has set up teams across onshore and offshore to support businesses. She enjoys following the Indian stock market and has been investing religiously to maintain the financial portfolio. Her mornings usually include a nature walk, which helps her declutter and prioritize her task list. She holds Master in Economics from Delhi School of Economics and MBA Essentials from London School of Economics. Shikha, welcome to the show. Before we get into a deep discussion on seeking feedback, such an important topic, if it would be great to hear from you about your professional journey.
Sure. Thanks, Abhishek, for having me. Hi, everyone. I am Shikha. In terms of my education, I'm a graduate and postgraduate in economics. In terms of my work profile, currently I work with a Fortune 500 company where I lead a data science team. But prior to that, I have had experience in retail banking as well as pharma, in mostly and primarily into business insights and data analytics.
Great. Um, so now let's quickly jump into this topic. We all understand as a seasoned professional that how important it is to seek feedback, right? It's for a self improvement, self learning. But would like to hear from you how you think that why seeking feedback is important.
Sure. Seeking feedback is a very important skill. It's kind of a soft skill which usually people miss a lot. Feedback in terms of seeking as well as giving, it's kind of a combination. If I put it into in terms of how I look at it personally, if you are 25 years old, 27, 28 years old, you have about good 30, 35 years of experience to gain ahead of
Yeah.
you. And it has to be a learning curve. Those 30, 35 years that you have in front of you, if you have to have it as a learning curve, you need to know what's missing, what can be improved, or rather I would say what are your strengths as well, so that you build on your strengths and play on your strength. So that's why for those 30 years you have to keep investing, you have to keep reinventing yourselves. And I think that's the reason why seeking feedback, which is usually not considered a very important skill, but is one of the most important skills to have under your belt.
Yeah, because if coming from my experience with people who are joining fresh from colleges, or maybe also for people just started their career in corporate life, usually they uh, they don't want to get into a situation where they are getting feedback, right? And that's why, and then they don't realize as well that why it is important. I think the importance of seeking feedback is to understand those areas where you need to work, right?
Absolutely.
And it's not a year end phenomenon. Like when I'm going to my leader and asking for a feedback at the year end,
Yeah.
then I might get some shock,
Yes.
right? And then I will think that, oh, have I wasted my entire year?
Right.
So that's why it is so important for an individual to
Absolutely.
continuously get a regular or on a timely basis seek feedback, because
Correct.
sometimes it's not just giving feedback, right? You might be waiting for your leader to give you feedback, but why to wait?
Yes.
This is what I am doing. So I have full rights to ask for the feedback.
Very well said.
So that's why it's so important that when you start your career, when you are new into the organization, you continuously seek feedback.
Yeah.
Right. Great. So the next question which comes in when I'm saying like, oh, I need to seek feedback, then what what according to you, according to your experience, what is the best way to ask for feedback, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most difficult one to handle. And then personally, I don't think so that there is one single approach that you can adopt there. There are multiple models out there in the market which you can adopt, and all these models which are there or are available are there for you to help. Not one size fits all is something that I would say, but what has worked for me personally, I can definitely give guidance on that one. Uh, I think when you have already believed in your head that you need to go and seek feedback from your, say, leader, your skip leader or something, do not label it as a one on one. Usually, what happens with us as individuals is that we do not want to call that as a feedback session.
Yeah.
I think first step is to break that. It's absolutely okay to go and seek feedback. So let's call it as feedback session when you're sending the invite. Address the elephant in the room. Okay, that's one. Sorted, you are mentally prepared. The person to whom you are reaching out to is also mentally prepared that this session is supposed to be about them. It's supposed to be, it is supposed to be on the feedback of whatever they have done, be it a project, a 3-month assessment, a 1-month assessment, whatever it is. So first label it. Second, I'm an old school person. Usually, when you go for seeking such sessions or seeking feedback or any other thing, I like to carry a notepad with me. If your leader is telling you something, make sure that you're taking those notes. And when they're telling you something in terms of your weaknesses or strengths or areas of improvement, make sure that you document them so that you ask them categorically, okay, this is something that's happening good, this is something that's not happening good, this is my strength, I'll continue to work upon it, this is something like a weakness, I will probably work around it. The third thing which has been very helpful for me is generally asking certain other additional questions. For example, and I think this is one of the most common challenge that comes across, people say that you need to improve in your communication skills.
Right.
Oh, that's such a generic feedback. Communication skills. Please elaborate. Do I improve my verbal skills? Do I improve my written skills? Do I improve my interpersonal skills? Is there something like a challenge when I am putting my presentations out? Or is this a challenge when I'm writing my official emails? Or should I talk more to certain set of people? Or should I talk less to certain set of people? Be very specific. And if possible, in certain instances, ask for examples of what went wrong. From my personal experience, I'll tell you one of the feedbacks that I got very early in my career. It was working on my approachability. That's a part of your entire communication category. But my leader was kind enough to call out that your approachability is a challenge, Shikha. People feared reaching out to you for help or telling you something, and it came as a shocker. But I'm glad that the shocker came to me 16 years back. So I think for me, it has worked very well. Address the elephant that I need feedback, be prepared, ask specific questions. Most important, take notes. And fourth, if you're working on something, just do have a follow-up asking, is that something that's on a correct track or not? I think that's how I would want to address that.
Okay, that's good to hear. So I think I will just like to add one thing for our audiences. Like when you are asking feedback, right? How to ask feedback is first you need to understand what you have done.
Yeah.
You have to be very well prepared before getting into a meeting.
Sure.
Because yes, we should call that meeting as a feedback discussion. Otherwise, we lost the context around it, right?
Yeah.
That it's very important for everyone to know that, oh, this meeting is for feedback, so that the person who has to give feedback is also prepared.
Yeah.
And as a seeker, right, you need to be prepared that what I have done and where you think you need feedback or you need the areas of development or
Correct.
you think that you have done a great job.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously it's about everything. It's not about
Mhm.
just an improvement areas. It's about what you have done right.
Correct.
So asking feedback,
Mhm.
how to ask it is you need to be prepared first.
Oh,
You cannot
Sure.
go in a feedback discussion without being prepared, just thinking that my leader will give me the feedback.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's his responsibility. That's not my responsibility. And
no.
that's
You own your career, dear. Yeah.
absolutely, it doesn't work like that.
Correct.
So to all the young professionals, it's important that when you are going for a feedback,
Mhm.
you well prepare.
Sure.
Then the one thing which you said, like carry your notepad
Mhm.
or something where you can take notes,
Mhm.
right? And the important thing is, if there are a long-term improvement areas which have been identified, right?
Mhm.
Prepare a plan with the leader.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a part of that entire process,
Conversation. Correct.
and you need to really work hard towards it. So how to ask feedback? I think that's the right way.
Mhm.
That get into a meeting, be prepared,
Yeah.
and take notes.
Correct.
It has both. It has like two sides of the coins, right?
Mhm.
When I am asking for feedback, there will be situations when my leader will ask for a feedback.
Yeah.
And when I'm new to the organization,
Yeah.
new to the corporate culture, sometimes as an individual, I feel that giving right feedback to the leader, they might not take it that way.
Mhm.
So, so what are your suggestions to people who and when they have to give feedback,
Yeah.
what they should do?
Sure. I think when you are in a leader supervisor kind of a situation where you're actually supposed to give feedback to your leader, that's a very tricky one to
Yeah.
do. My guiding principle always has been that you need to have that level of trust first,
Mhm.
that you can give that kind of a feedback. It cannot be an overnight process for sure, because you are new into the system. It's quite possible that the system runs a certain way. So you first settle in, understand how the organization works before you are into a situation of giving feedback. That's most important for the early beginners out there. I think the second thing is that whenever you're giving a feedback in a situation where you're giving it to a skip leader or
Mhm.
to a leader, do not cross the line of respect. Do not. I think respect is something that has to be there whenever you're giving those feedbacks. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is, specifically when it's constructive feedback to your leader, it has to be on a situation. You
Mhm.
cannot just simply say that XYZ said something or XYZ does something, doesn't work. It has to be very specific so that the leader knows what exactly happened and why are you saying that. So I think if you keep in mind these 3 or 4 things when you're actually giving your feedback up to your leader, that will be really helpful. So I think that's my way of dealing with these things.
Thanks for sharing that, Shikha. Uh, just to add to it, what I think is, when you are giving feedback, the first aspect which you need to look at is your organizational culture, right? That's the first and foremost important thing, because there are a lot of organizations where the leaders are not open to get feedback.
Yeah.
And though they are asking because there is a framework behind it,
Right.
and the HR needs to do that, then you have to be careful that what you
Yes.
are sharing it. And
Yes.
then there are other organizations, and I'm lucky enough to have been working in such organizations where it's a 360 degree means 360 degree,
Yes.
and you have to openly share your feedback with the leaders.
Correct.
So it's very important
Yeah.
that the culture of the organization plays a very big part
Should
of
be
it.
acceptable. Yes.
And when you are giving feedback, absolutely, you need to be respectful.
Mhm.
So you have to just see your surroundings, see
Correct.
how it was perceived when
Yeah.
you are sharing that. When I started my career in the corporate life, is like how to use that feedback for self-awareness, right? And that plays an important role. Why I'm saying it, because I have seen a lot of professionals who take their feedback very seriously, and then they have achieved great heights.
Oh, right.
And there are other set of people who just think that, oh, this is not what I am.
Mhm.
Whatever feedback I'm getting, I don't accept it.
Yeah.
and then you see a different trajectory from them.
Correct.
So what, according to you, are the best ways to use the feedback for self-awareness?
Sure. So, Abhishek, when I started talking to you, I did tell that go with your notepad or whatever. I think there are so many things out there. Just make sure that whatever constructive feedback that comes your way, make sure that you're noting that down along with your strengths, because you don't want to underplay your
Yeah.
strengths at all. So, keep your strengths aside and let's talk about weaknesses. Suppose communication, I think one of the examples that I said, communication came as a feedback for me. And within communication, I would say proactive communication came as a feedback for me. What I have to do from my end then is work with my leader to understand exactly where the problem is. I think that's the first step. If we have killed that first step, we know we have won half of the battle, because I know what's the root cause.
Right.
Once you have that root cause, go back, sit, prepare a plan of attacking your challenge. Okay, my proactive communication is weak. Maybe I do not break the bad news, or I do not let the client know that the deliverable will reach, say, one day early or one day late or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that what is the challenge, written, oral, verbal, what is causing a problem. Once you have your plan, align with your leader. Make sure that you're able to achieve your results on time. If that's there, start working on that. As a personal checklist, what I do usually is I create my own tracker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if proactive communication was a challenge, how many times in the last 3 months I was on time, I was before time in terms of communicating, and I was late in terms of communicating.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you keep that tracker, those 3 months will change your behavior. Once they change your behavior, it'll start reflecting, and I'm 100% sure the next time you go into a feedback session where you bring this point up back with your leader, they will also note the improvement. So I think you have to complete the entire circle. First, understand it, get your details out, align with your leader, work on it, and then close it with another feedback session.
I think that's the one thing, as a professional, how I have used feedback to improve is I usually I don't go with a list that, oh, this is how I have done.
Yeah.
I have a different way to do it.
Right.
But what I have done is if there are 4 points which has been shared as a improvement areas for
Mm-hmm.
me, and if I think
Mm-hmm.
that, and not always all the points, all the feedback areas can be corrected within the short span of time.
Yeah.
And let's say communication takes
Way long.
I'm still learning.
Yeah.
So you cannot perfect certain things.
Correct.
But if there are certain hard skills,
Mm-hmm.
certain softer skills which has been given you as a feedback or as an area where you need to work on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You really create a plan for yourself. So
Yeah.
there are 2 things, right? One, you create a plan with the leader,
Mm-hmm.
get it signed off, get it, as you said, right? It's an entire loop.
Mm-hmm.
You close that loop. But as an individual,
Mm-hmm.
you also have to create a plan for yourself, because you cannot put everything in front of leader.
Oh, right.
Right. So what I have done is that if they have shared that, oh, Abhishek, you need to, let's say, work on this secondary research skills.
Yeah.
I'm coming from my experience way back when I started my career as a research professional, right?
Yeah.
When I got that,
Mm-hmm.
so I have identified that, oh, these are the 3-4 areas which I need to work on.
Okay.
Let's start working on those areas.
Yeah.
Instead of just sitting and waiting for a plan from a leader,
Mm-hmm.
I started working on it. Oh, these are the 4 things which I can do. And for that, seek guidance.
Yeah.
Outside of that leader counsel which is guiding you, you can go ahead with your peers, with your seniors outside the team,
Right.
or with your friends who's into the similar industry.
Correct.
And they have those skill set, right? And it's okay to discuss it. It's okay to ask help from your friends, from
Oh,
your
yeah.
colleagues, from your peers, that, oh, this is the one area I need to work on.
Yeah.
Why? Because if you have really improved on that aspect,
Mhm.
you will become a very good professional, right? And your leader will appreciate it, that
Agreed.
if I have given the feedback, the person has closed that loop, or
Mhm.
the person has improved.
Yeah.
You cannot close everything, but if a person has improved in the next 3 months, 6 months,
Mhm.
that improvement is visible, right? That helps.
Yeah.
And it helped me.
When you are talking about discussing it with colleagues or your peers or your friends, I think that's called the self-starter approach. You have to start with your own self and self-evaluate. I think that's seeking feedback from your own self.
Absolutely. That's what it is. Now, I think one more aspect which we should look at it from our audience perspective is, uh, sometimes it happens. I'm not prepared. I got a constructive feedback, and now I'm totally demotivated. So, what you think? How to pull yourself from such constructive feedbacks? How I can work on it? How I can motivate myself? Because it happens in, I think, everyone's career.
Sure.
You not always get everything very smooth.
Yeah.
Right. It's there are different ways of, as you said, like giving feedbacks. A sandwich approach, when you talk about something good, then you put a bad, and then you close it with a good item. Then you lose that instinct of the feedback, constructive feedback I'm talking about. And but the people get demotivated.
Yes.
So what you think, that how to pull oneself if I'm getting a constructive feedback?
Yeah. So it happens a lot when you walk into a room, and if you're at the receiving end of a constructive feedback, the entire discussion, you feel demotivated. And the first human reaction to any of such things, such kind of a situation, is that we want to answer right there and then and close it.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Do not do that. Even if your leader is asking and checking with you that, are you okay with this feedback? Suppose I tell you that the quality of the deliverable was bad. Take it, hear them out. If he or she is making a point, just close that situation. Tell them that I need some time to get back to you with clarifications as well as my action plan. Do not react in that situation, because you're highly emotional at that point. You're highly vulnerable at that time. So what will happen is that there can be a different turn of events that can happen in that particular situation. Just to avoid those, just take the feedback as is, walk out of the room, think through it. That are there any solid grounds of giving those feedback or not? Do not get demotivated. Okay, suppose quality was a challenge with me. I talk about my personal thing. Would you mind if I give an example in here?
Sure,
Okay,
absolutely.
sure. So I'll tell you, there was this, and I'm talking about one of my clients in here. And I think there was a challenge in my approach in terms of working with that person, because this person, we used to seek annual feedbacks. And this person would typically give us a feedback that the quality was a challenge. The quality was a challenge. And when year end, you talk about quality being a challenge, your 365 days are lost, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, so this happened with me the first year. The second year, I thought, okay, let me make it quarterly. From 1 year to a quarterly feedback, and this individual again say quality is a challenge, quality is a challenge. I did not react in that meeting. I said, okay, fine, quality is a challenge. I hear you out. Let me think about it. I pulled all my armories, looked through all my emails, pulled my notes and see if there anything that where quality was a challenge. My own mantra there was that I do not. So one, it was not a leader and a junior kind of a relationship. It was a client and a partner kind of a consulting kind of a relationship. Couldn't answer that person back, but took his feedback. Next called it the action plan for quality. Okay, I could have easily got demotivated because my year end is lost, my team's year end is lost. But I said that I'll bring an action plan. I brought an action plan. I said that whenever you have a challenge with quality, we will mark that over an email to my entire leadership. And whenever you want to be appreciative of something, give me a positive feedback, mark that to my entire leadership. And we started doing it after every deliverable. And the story turned after 6 months down. So I'll tell you what happened here. I could have got easily demotivated. My first call, I did get demotivated, but I think the right approach was that I pulled myself back, thought about the entire series, thought about an action plan, and then went ahead. So I think that's how it helped. These feedbacks, one thing that you have to understand is these feedbacks are not for you. They are for a situation.
Right.
I don't know if I should quote this here, but I really liked what Rohit Shetty said in one of his interviews. If his films fail, that film failed. Rohit Shetty did not fail. So if you get a constructive feedback, you get it for a project or for 3 months or for 6 months. You do not fail as an individual. So I think that's it.
Great. I think even I I share the same kind of approach when it comes to constructive feedback. The one thing which is required when I'm getting a constructive feedback, and if I don't agree to it, right, and as an individual, I have full rights, right,
Yeah.
to agree and not to agree to it.
Correct.
The first thing is don't react. The second is ask for situations, ask for examples. Don't accept anything which is very generic in nature, right? Because that kills you. Because then you are saying that, oh, it's an year end. Usually now they want to pull my rating down. That's why they're giving me this feedback. I don't agree to it, but I can't challenge it. So I will accept it, right? But I don't work on it because I have accepted it.
Yeah.
And this will reflect in my year end. But that should not be the case. When you are starting your career, you have to be more proactive. When someone is sharing a feedback, usually as a young professional, I might not take it very positively. Defensive, right? But if I know that this is the process of self-learning, of improvement, then I will take it in a positive way.
Oh yeah.
Right? So that's the first thing. So whenever there is a constructive feedback, do ask for the areas where you have done well. Right? Because that will help you to bring back that motivation level up.
I agree.
Because it's already demotivating you. There are a lot of pointers have been pointed out by the leader that, oh, you don't, this is an improvement area, this is an improvement area, oh, your communication is improvement. But there are 5 other aspects which are working fine.
Correct.
Should I stop working on it? No. Those 5 areas which are strengths of mine, I should keep focusing on that.
Yeah.
That will motivate me.
Right.
Because sometimes these constructive areas can be overpowered if I can't work on it.
Yes.
Everyone has their own challenges. Maybe out of those 3 improvement areas, I might not be able to work on one because I think it's a challenge and I cannot really improve a lot on that.
Correct.
So there can be certain strengths which can overpower that. So that is the key.
Yeah.
For me to self-motivate, look at your positives, ask for the examples so that you can really work on it. And as we already discussed, like work with your friends, with your peers on those areas. Don't shy away that, oh, what my peer will think that, oh, my quality is not great. If my quality is not great, then everyone knows about it. So it's just a myth. That, oh, it's only me and my leader knows that, oh, my quality is not good and my hard skills are not that honed.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Go and check with the top performer what he or she is doing.
Yes.
Then you approach in the similar fashion.
Correct.
So I think those are the areas where one can get motivated and one should work towards those development needs. Why? I think there is one more. We have already touch base on this, but I think it needs a good discussion on it. The feedback comes with a negative connotation. The first thing when I started my career, if it's a discussion on my feedback, I'm thinking like, oh, I'm gone. There will be a lot of things which I have not done good. My year end will go. My half year evaluation is gone. So it comes with a lot of negative connotations. I think it needs some attention.
Correct.
And people should not just look at this as a negative term.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we need to share feedback stories from our clients to the entire leadership team, it goes as feedback,
Correct.
right? Great feedback.
Yeah.
So it's not always negative, but yes, this is one area where we
You need to
should
break that kind of a
Yeah.
stereotypical thing that is there in your head. That's feedback means constructive feedback. Absolutely not. It's a generic term.
Yeah, and I think it needs some discussion
Mhm.
on when I'm getting into a feedback discussion with my leader, or with my manager, or it's or vice versa as well, right? Then just don't think of something negative is coming to you,
Correct.
because sometimes it happens that there are a lot of positive things a person wants to share, and it's also a feedback discussion. If
Right.
you're already demotivated, going into a discussion, you have already closed your mind.
Correct.
That, oh, I will not accept it.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking that, oh, this is end of my life now.
Mhm.
So this is important for our listeners and viewers, that please do not consider this as a negative term. It comes with a lot of positive impact
Yeah.
on our lives. So treat this in a positive manner, right?
Right.
Shikha, you also in the starting, we also touch base on the frameworks, right? That when I'm seeking feedback, there are numerous frameworks which are available, right? And you said you have used a couple of frameworks for yourself as well. So I just want to put across that absolutely there are numerous frameworks available. Like if you will see, is the one framework is IDEA, which is IDR, right? Identify, describe, encourage, and action. And there is a STAR framework, which is
Yeah.
very well known across the industry: situation, task, action, and result. The one framework which I have used for myself when we try to seek feedback, or when we even try to give feedback, right? The one framework which I have used is AID, which is what's an action for me, how it will impact me, and what is the desired behavior in the future,
Oh, right.
right? And if you will seek feedback considering these 3 points in your mind, then you will ask right questions to the leader.
Agreed.
Otherwise, you will not be able to hit the right string, right? That, oh, what is an action here for me? How this action will impact it, and what's the future course of action for it? So let's say, because you picked up a very good example of communication, I think every one of us would have heard this as an improvement area. If nothing comes up as an constructive feedback, then this is a by default for everyone. I have given it to many people. So this is not this is
This is industry norm.
this is
Let's
an
call
industry.
it, yes.
Yeah. So this is the one area where everyone thinks that, oh, like this is an area you can always give it to the other person, that this is an improvement area, and absolutely this will remain an improvement area for every individual.
Everybody, yeah.
Right? Whether it's a analyst, whether it's a director of a company, right? So we have to break it down and say, okay, so you mean to say that my sentence structuring is not right? If you are saying it's a communication is a gap, then sentence structuring is a problem. So what's an action to it, right? And what will be the impact of that action? If you don't see a lot of impact of it, you can prioritize.
Oh,
there
yes.
there will be such kind of feedback on a different points, and you cannot work on every point in a short term, or in a medium term, in a long term. You have to define your feedback into different buckets, and then work on that, which are the areas I can easily work on.
Yeah.
And then it's quite possible that there are small areas and its impact is big.
All right.
If you have identified it, then it becomes so easy for you to act on it, right? So I have used this. I hope our listeners and viewers also use these models, because this helps in seeking feedback, in giving feedback, and in analyzing for
Your
your
own self.
self learning. And that's what I think this feedback, seeking feedback is so important for the learning. And in this virtual world, when we have to grow as an individual and we are not physically present, you have to have work on the areas. And that's the only way is ask for feedback and action on it. Right? So, uh, great to have you here, Shikha. I think it's such a great discussion. We have uh, so many examples from our
Mhm.
lives which we have shared with everyone. I hope everyone gets something out of it
Sure.
from this.
Yeah.
That's the end of this section. We'll move on to our next section,
Sure.
which is an unwind.
Mhm.
So now we'll not talk about feedback.
Oh, wow.
We'll talk more about you as an individual.
Sure.
So uh, the first question which comes into my mind: how you upkeep yourself in
Mhm.
this busy life schedule?
How do I keep myself updated to all the things that are
Yes.
happening? Okay, wow. So usually I get a lot of time in the morning because I work for the US clients. I make sure that at least for half an hour, 45 minutes, I do spend time Googling and checking out things, what's happening around the world. That's one thing that helps me. If I have to tell about something where I read the news a lot about from, CNN is my go-to channel. So those are the two ways that I keep myself updated of what's happening around. And yes, my daughter also tells me what's happening in, at least in the music world.
Okay, great. One person whose brains you could pick anytime.
One person whose brain. I'm a person who needs a soundboard. And, I don't want to be a preacher here, but if a person who can hear your ideas and thoughts, you can actually find them anywhere close to you. So, my soundboard, nobody would believe, but is my mother in law. So if I have something, if something is making me upset, if I'm discussing an idea, obviously it shouldn't be a technical one because for that I have my team. But if something that I need to work around, I make sure that I make her sit, understand my problem, and then most of the time she doesn't have ideas, but she hears me out. So I think that's the person I pick on when I'm in distress.
Okay, that's quite interesting.
I would say that's quite contrary to the beliefs.
Yes, we can say that. So, what's your favorite way to unwind and recharge? Then I know, like we in the introduction, we know that you like to go on a morning walk, and
Yeah.
that helps you a lot. But outside of that, what's the other way to rewind?
Mhm. You know, I usually get that kick from stock market.
Okay.
The Indian stock market, the rallies, the downsides, the bears, the bulls. So I think that's something that helps me in terms of tracking. You ask me the gold prices, you ask me how the oil is doing, what's the crude, what's the exchange rate. I think those are the things that help me in terms of keeping me aloof from my work. And then definitely it helps me letting know what's happening in the financial side of the world. So that's my unwinding.
How would your loved ones describe what you do?
In terms of the work that I do,
Yes.
okay, I'll tell you the best description that I have ever got. So my first job was with Genpact,
Mhm.
and I was doing statistical modeling. And my grandmom gave a very good description of what I do. So she told to somebody that my granddaughter, she does modeling on Janpat. Okay, so that's how my family describes. But I think now times have changed. If you talk to my family, they would definitely tell that I'm doing something around AI and machine learning and data science. But yeah, I think that's what they will do. But I really like the answer that my grandmom gave.
Okay, quite interesting. Uh, what is the most important lesson you have learned throughout in your career so far?
The most important lesson by far. Uh, there's so many that I have learned, but let me just pick the one that's top of my head. Never, I would say, whenever you are looking for a vertical move or a lateral move, there are many instances where you get demotivated or something. Somebody told me very categorically that, Shikha, do not give up. Just put your 100% out there. And there would be times when people will come back and tell, oh, we did not select you for this position because there was somebody with a good recommendation or something like that. I would say that one thought of never giving up, always giving your 100%, despite the fact knowing that there'll be failures.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that's one of the most important learnings that I have.
If you have to give an advice of 20 years or 20-year-old of yourself, right? What will be that advice?
I come from a very conventional background, so I've always chosen the right way, or something that was always the norm. So I would say, probably if I was 20 years younger and I had to give that advice, I would say, go for it. Take the unknown territory. It's okay to fail sometimes. We do fail now as well, but it would have been easier failing back then. So I would say that taking the unconventional territory would have been the advice.
Nice. Thanks, Shikha. It is lovely speaking with you.
Thanks, Abhishek, for having me here. It was a pleasure talking to you and your audience.
Great. Thanks, Shikha.
Thank you.
So this was our episode with Shikha about importance of seeking feedback. We have discussed so many things like how to get feedback, how to use AID framework to analyze the feedback which we are receiving, and why it is important to work on that feedback for the self improvement, right? So we will keep bringing you some more of these food for thought conversations in our upcoming episodes. If you enjoyed this episode, do let us know. And if you have any feedback or want us to pick a certain topic, reach out to us at Gmail, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Below are the links. Also, do remember to share it with your friends, family, and colleagues, and also to like, subscribe to us if you are watching it on YouTube, and follow it if you are listening this on an audio platform. This is me, Abhishek Mittal, signing off. We will be back next week with another episode of Wisdom Whispers with Abhishek Mittal.